The sales is a relationship building. It's a long conversation. So the work that I'm doing in my approach to thought leadership, I'm building that relationship.
Yep.
Without having to make these continuous phone calls, without having to constantly follow up with people. So I actually also have the same luxury of the people who are thinking about working with me. I can give them the time that they need to make those shifts, because working with me is an investment of time and money and your self-image.
Yes.
You have to be willing to change that. And for some people, the first call that they have with me, when they learn more about what that experience is like, they then now have to find the courage to say, I am worth this exposure, I am worth this transformation. And I'm like, you can pay to have that experience, but we're both going to be frustrated. I actually kind of need you to do that work on your own. And then when you're ready to become a star, then we can talk, then we can work together. But that's how, again, me getting clear on what service can I provide? What do I need them to bring to the table? And where are we both going to be the most successful for me? And that's where a lot of my messaging is, very inspirational. If you can take action based on what you hear in this conversation, then you don't need to work with me. You don't need to invest in me. But if you need that additional hand-holding, if you need that additional guidance, you now know where to find it. So that's how I use marketing to serve sales. But marketing is not sales. It's not the same thing.
I know. I have learned that myself the hard way. I learned it myself the hard way when I came up with the idea for the mindful marketing retreats, and I launched them, and I loved them, right? They're marketing and wellness retreats. And my year of the two biggest ones was, 2 20-person retreats, like a 4-day retreat on Salt Spring Island. And we did like 13 marketing workshops and yoga classes every day and wellness activities. And we all ate delicious vegan food. It was amazing. But what I realized in the year beforehand was I had to become an event salesperson.
Yep.
I did not have those skills.
Nope.
I did not have those skills. I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
But when I was faced with the cold hard truth of what event sales was, having this date that never moves. There were times when I had nightmares about the date. It's all I thought about. Because the date doesn't move. It wasn't like selling consulting, where we can start whenever you want, we can finish whenever you want. We can fit it into your calendar. This was a date, and I had to learn. I learned a lot about selling that year. I would say I grew a bit in it, and there's so much more to do. I think we all have to do some work in the sale. If we're the owner of our business, we have to get into that gritty sales piece and get more comfortable with it, for sure.
And that's where, I always challenge people, you don't actually make mistakes in business. You set yourself up to learn something.
Yes.
I learn by doing. So I always say, if I ever wrote a business book, it's going to be called The Dirty Launch. Because I think you're similar too. You have an idea, you take action on it.
If in doubt, do. If in doubt, do. That's my motto. But Tara, I'm glad you touched on that, because that if we're to talk about the entrepreneurial journey a little bit, that year was a year where there were failures.
Yeah.
And I my first retreat, it was, I sold them coming out of the pandemic. It was a terrible time. I was trying to sell a 20-person event coming out of the pandemic, because I was just, hey, we're all free, everybody. And I was
in a crowd again.
So let's live together for 4 days with strangers. Doing marketing work. Listen, so I didn't sell the first one out.
Yeah.
But it was very tough. I couldn't use the word fail. I got very upset when anybody mentioned fail to me after that year. The events themselves were amazing. I poured my heart and soul into them. Everybody had an amazing time. I have wonderful testimonials on my site. People cried. People cried at our round table in the end where we sat together and just talked about what we enjoyed. People cried in both of them. I cried. Second one did sell. Thankfully, the second one went into the green, which was wonderful. But between the two of them, you know, not so much. So it was a tough year for my business, and it was tough lessons. And like I said, I couldn't use that fail word.
What is your relationship with failure like now?
Very different.
Yeah.
Now failure to me is learning. Yeah. And what I have undervalued or not seen in the first many years of my business, which I hope other entrepreneurs who are starting out hear right there, is in all the things you do and in all the things you try and all the things that don't work, and there's millions. Steve Jobs has this long laundry list of failures before he made it, right? Like all of the big innovators in the world, you know, and all the big successful business people in the world have had many, many failures and have stood on top of those learnings to actually one day invent something that was different. And you'll often hear the stories of, oh, I was broke, I was in debt, and then the thing changed, right? There's all these transformation stories. But now I see failure as growth. And I had a lot of advice over the time, like, don't call it failure, reframe it. And I think I do feel like there's a point where reframing is a little bit toxic positivity. You know, I think it's good to be like, man, I tried my best. That really made sense at the time. And it didn't work. What did I not know? If I could go back now, what would I do? And just that constant interrogation of like looking at it like, look, it's an experiment. It's all an experiment. Everything we're doing is in our business is an experiment. And we're hoping to figure out what that perfect mix of marketing things is to create the next project. But like, you know, you've got to have the things that don't work for you to push you to try new things. The other thing is all my growth has come out of uncomfortable situations. There's a healthy amount of, hey, was that a fail or was that a learning moment? And, you know, but I think I'm more comfortable with the word failure now. And I feel like I'm more honest with myself about it. And I'm more like, hey, that didn't work. But you know what? What I don't, this is the bit, sorry, I went off tangent there and I never finished that. This is the storyteller problem.
Now I know what it feels like to be on the other end. I'm like,
yes, it's the storyteller problem. There's always many stories within the story. What you don't realize is happening, or what I didn't realize is happening, but I've seen it with many other people too, is you're trying these things and some things aren't working. And like God bless you, universe bless you to anybody out there who's having a year or a few years that are like that, because it's really, really hard. But you've got to just buckle up, buttercup, shake it off, move on. And what you don't see when you're in the thing, that thing that is not working out and you're moving on, you might feel like there's a series of things. What you don't see is that the intangible things you've been building up all of that time.
Yeah.
Your resilience, your reputation. Like so many people are like, oh my God, those retreats are amazing. And I'm like, oh yeah, like they were, but like they were really painful. And if I was a cat, I lost 7 of my 9 lives. Like, you know, but so people outside, and I had this a lot from my non-entrepreneurial friends or my friends in careers. They were just like, Annabelle, I just admire what you're doing so much. I can't believe you've got the guts and the bravery to do this. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like that when you're in it. When you're in it, you're just like, oh my God, this isn't going to work. And you're just dancing with fear and scarcity all the time. I've learned a lot of tricks for that too, you know?
So there's one thing I've learned recently, especially that's helped me be in that space, in that entrepreneurial space. I actually follow a lot of screenwriters on Instagram, because entrepreneurship, building a business, you're just creating something that doesn't exist yet.
Yes.
The idea in your brain, and you need a framework to make it become something. That's screenwriting. So Mark Duplass is a pretty famous screenwriter, and there's a great YouTube clip where he talks about the vomit draft, which is how he refers to the first draft. And he's like, his approach, he's like, I don't type it, because as soon as you start writing, then you're able to edit. So what he does is he just grabs what he describes as a dictaphone. I'm sure now he just uses voice notes, and he just gets it. He just purges the idea out in one draft. He's not allowed to stop. He's like, and because he calls it a vomit draft, he knows it's not great, but he's like, it needs to come out so that I know what I can work with. Like this second draft and this third draft. So whenever I launch something, I'm like, okay, this is the first draft. We're going to see who knows it. And then we're going to see, well, why did it not scale? Or why did no one buy it? Like, where was the messaging from? But for me, like, unless that draft is out, there's nothing for me to work on. As long as it's an idea, it's just something that will torture me.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend following screenwriters because there's a lot of parallels between the work that they do and the work that we do. And again, it comes down to collaboration, right?
Yeah.
Eventually a screenwriter takes it to a writer's room. They take it to a director, and you're not building this on your own. You have to.
I feel like we're just like zapping on the same frequency. Okay.
I know. We're two Irish ladies who like to talk. So I've got almost an hour. So.
I know. But I just have to follow up with that one thing there that you have. So in my personal brand strategy, I call them the shitty first drafts.
Yes.
So I said, so the job is for everybody to make 50 shitty first drafts.
Yeah.
And what I and it's time trialed. You got to get them out. You got to get the words out. And what I say to them is, I was like, it's like the first pancake. It doesn't matter if you've got the best batter. It doesn't matter if the temperature is perfect in the pan. It doesn't matter if the butter is melted just perfect. The first one is a doozy. The second one is all right. The third one is decent. I was like, this is how it works with writing.
Yeah.
And I also think like you just have to, you get words on a page. And it's just words on a page, and you can't let your brain get in the way or your ego get in the way. You just got to get them out and have permission to do those shitty first drafts and know that when they come out, there's going to be a diamond in the rough there, because that's what happens. Yeah.
And I still eat the first pancake.
So the other thing I'll add to it, because slightly on the flip side, but to what you say there, whenever I create something new and I put it out, after that year of the retreats, and we built 3 websites and we did maybe 11 marketing campaigns. Like I have never created so much marketing in my whole career than I did in that year. But I moved from getting it right to making it perfectible.
Yeah.
So I would be like, is it a 6 out of 10? It's 6 out of 10. Get it live. Like we don't have time. Get it live. I can always come back and tweak it later. And I would tweak many times, but you got to get the stuff out there. People will forgive a lot, when they're seeing it. And also if you're putting something out there in the world that is the right fit at the right time, they're not going to care if there's a spelling mistake there, or if your graphic didn't look a certain way, or if the design wasn't. They're just going to be like, ooh, that's what I need. That's a fit right now, Yeah.
Oh, we could clearly talk all day about this. I'm like, we'll try to keep it to half an hour. I'm like, nope, I'm going to have to segment this and give people commercial breaks. So where can people work with you? Where can they learn more about you?
Yes. Okay. So if you want to build a personal brand strategy, I build them for clients. So I do one-on-one consulting where I go and interview your previous clients and everything, which is quite nice. And then I come back with evidence of your awesomeness. Which is nice because it takes the work is on my side and you're part of the process. So that's one way to do it. I also do have an online course where you can do a self-guided course, and that's quite affordable, and you go through the same process that I go through. And I have a live version of that course where it's like a 7 to 8 week course, and we have co-working sessions for an hour and a half each week. And so it helps us as a group kind of just stay on track, share our experiences as we're going and our findings as we're going, and do little course corrects. So it kind of depends, like if you're the type of person who wants somebody else to do it for you, or you don't have the time, then I can do it for you. If you like to do it yourself and you like to kind of take the reins of your own learning, then the self-guided course is awesome. And if you like to build in community and you like the accountability of having a group, then the live course is great. And later this year, at some point, I just can't attest to when it'll be, there will be a 2-day personal brand strategy. Like I won't call it a retreat. We're not going to stay over, but there's going to be a 2-day event, in-person event, likely in Vancouver, where we will build a personal strategy and have a series of experts come and teach us how to execute. So it's in the works. That's the creative idea coming to life, but it's not quite there yet, but it will. You'll find all of this stuff on my website, ilikestorytelling.com, and you can go to the online courses section. You'll also see some case studies in there about personal branding.
Amazing. Yeah. So many options to create with you. I know you like storytelling and you're very, very good at it. So thank you so much for today, Annabelle. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thanks so much. See you, Tara.